beautiful souls. I hope you're well. Um, as usual, and I keep saying this every time I do a video, it's been a long time since I've made a video, at least a video where I speak and share my experiences with you. It has been again, a little bit of a difficult few days and weeks. Well, first of all, because I was preparing for 2 consecutive artisan fairs, which meant a lot of production of my cards and bookmarks for selling. And since it's my only income, I kind of depend on that to pay rent and eat. So, and also, so I've been really busy, and I've had a big flu about 2 months ago, and I still have difficulty in recovering from it, in the sense that I kept coughing all the time and very exhausted from that because I was coughing all the time. And so I've been kind of tired and exhausted, and I felt very overwhelmed also by social media. I felt it was taking a lot of my energy, and I was giving a lot of energy to it. And maybe a week ago, I took a break from social media completely because I needed the time to really go back within and focus on healing, not only physically, but also certain things emotionally and psychologically, in terms of, and spiritually, I would say more than psychologically. And also just to, get away from it all, the whole social media, electronic life, messages, phones, all these things that take so much of our energy on a daily basis. So I needed a break from that, and it was good. It did me a lot of good in order to focus on other things. These days, like I've said in many of my previous videos, it's very important that we go within to find our answers, but also to process old sufferings, old trauma, old thinking patterns that don't that are not of use to us anymore, or that are not for our best good. So I still had to continue this process of healing, like many of us do. I've spoke to a lot of my friends who are on a spiritual path or journey, and they were all telling me the same thing. Many of them were telling me the same thing. They were exhausted, that they needed to process a lot of healing, a lot of things. So I guess it's something that a lot of us have to go through, on top of, health issues and things that, some of us may have from exhaustion or tiredness. And I'm not even going to talk about the people that have been jabbed and what that implies for many of them. So I'm not getting into that. I wanted to share with you my experience of the last, or reflections of the last 2 weeks, I would say, because I think like I've said previously in other videos, I know I talk a lot about myself in my videos, and the purpose, of course, is not to be self-centered and just like, me, and narcissistic. The purpose of putting actually my guts out there in front of you, and sometimes not in my best days, and in the challenges I go through, is because I feel that it's important to share, because some of us might be going through the same things or same process, and sometimes it feels good to have other people going through the same things, and just be able to share, on an equal level. And this is my purpose of sharing these things with you guys. While I was very, very busy with preparing for my fairs, and you will have to excuse me, I'm still coughing a lot. And as soon as I start speaking a lot, I tend to have more cough. So I'm going to try not to make this video too long, because coughing in people's face is not very civil and nice and pleasant to hear or do. So I will try to avoid that as much as possible. But yeah, so during those 2 weeks, which were filled with at first with activity to just, finish, all the production I needed to do for my fairs. At the same time, I had the opportunity to participate in a workshop with a very good friend of mine who is a life coach and spiritual coach in a way, or professional coach. I mean, she delves in many different types of coaching, but she's very spiritually open-minded. And we were having this really important, very important um, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Workshop, sorry, workshop regarding victimization. I mean, that was not the main subject of the workshop, but it ended up really addressing that question. And it was very interesting because each of us had certain things to deal with regarding victimization. And my part regarding it is that I have been, for many years, acting in a victimized way regarding my relationship, for example, with my late mom, who has passed in February, last February, and with whom I had challenges in relationships, although I loved her very, very, very much. And I've realized that the things that I had to that were challenging for me in my relationship with her were actually also taking place in many of my relationships with people in general and with life in general. Because although my mom had passed away, I kind of recreated these ways of interacting in relationships with other people. And these ways of interacting were related to my mother's needs since I was very young. She had a very hard time giving herself the attention, the love, the validation, the respect, the presence that all of us need to give to ourselves in order to be complete human beings and not depend on other people to give us what we need. And since a very young age, with my mom, I had to play, or I felt the need well, actually, I had the demand, the unconscious, unverbalized demand from my mom to give her all of that. But I also, and this is why I don't want to victimize myself, but I took the responsibility of answering all these demands, which were totally unrealistic and unkind to my personal needs, in order to make her happy and to be loved. And so I realized that even after my mom has passed on, I have continued in my life to be a people pleaser, because it was my way of being validated, to be loved, and I would not necessarily trust myself or give myself enough love or respect or care or time. And I would always put people's needs, at least the emotional needs, prior to mine. And that really, and if I did not do that, guilt would just instantly arrive, and then I would be filled with guilt, and that would be terrible for my health, physical health and psychological health. Anyway, so this beautiful workshop I had with my friend coach gave me the opportunity to address these questions and to really put in words and realize, with all my being and my consciousness, why I was always feeling exhausted, why I was always feeling overwhelmed in my relationship with people, social media or even in person, and why I haven't been in a romantic relationship for 14 years now, and been very, very, very isolated and alone. Although I have now a lot of good friends, but in terms of romantically involved, I escaped that, because you know, I felt every time I was going to be in a relationship, I would feel trapped. Sorry, the focus is not good. I would always feel scared to lose myself in the other and feel trapped in the relationship. So unconsciously, I either had relationships that were sabotaging or just simply completely avoided relationships, or at least engagements in relationships. And so basically, I was at a point 2 weeks ago before doing the workshop where my situation was the following. Sorry, I keep putting my finger because I'm trying to make the focus a good focus on the camera, because it's kind of annoying when it's kind of blurry, but perhaps there's not enough light. I don't know why it's doing that, so I apologize for that. So before I started that workshop, the situation I was in is I felt exhausted. I felt overwhelmed by links with people, by relationships with people. I felt physically, I was hurting in the left part, in the heart region of my body, but also behind in the shoulder blade, and the whole left part of my upper body was just aching like hell. And I had trouble breathing. I always felt like I was having these panic attacks, and I was just like, and when I did this workshop, I realized that the reasons why I was feeling all these physical symptoms. And that had to do with my feeling of being overwhelmed all the time. Or I would say, I would formulate this better by putting on myself the pressure to answer people's demands. May they be formulated or not, or just expectations, and also the need for validation from other people and things like that. And it was choking me up. It was exhausting me, and there was something I needed to do. And so basically, through this workshop, I was able to realize that one of my main problems was the fact that I was so scared of hurting, so scared of being trapped in emotional relationships, that basically what happened is that I've escaped in my mind. I've become really engaged in my mind and my ego, and I had completely escaped to live in my heart again. And I think my heart was very much closed for many years. And this workshop gave me the opportunity to go back to cardiac, how do you call that? Cardiac breathing. I don't know how it's, there's a name for that. Suddenly the name doesn't come back to me, and I'm doing it 3 times a day and I can't find the word for it. Anyway, it will come back to me, but it's a form of breathing where you inhale 5 seconds, and you exhale 5 seconds for 30 breathings, and it permits a coherence. There you go, a cardiac coherence breathing, which is extremely good for people who are suffering from anxiety, or from or always in their mind, and they don't think with their hearts anymore. And so I had to do intensive exercises of heart coherence breathing. And so that really helped me go back to my heart again, and to my intuition, but also to my feelings. And I think that also this is why I kind of needed to stop everything in order to see what was happening in my heart, in my feelings, and what was in there, and what I had kind of ignored for so many years by being just in my ego, in my head, in my busy mind, and never being able to meditate so well. And so that was extremely a powerful return to the essential, which is the heart, which is to go within and where all the answers lie. And we know that, but it's one thing to say it, but it's another to actually go through it and live it. And so it gave me the opportunity to do to be really authentic, and not be in denial, and really be honest to myself about what I kind of was trying to avoid seeing. And those were the things that I was avoiding seeing. And that was also related to my physical health, which gave me a lot of symptoms. And what I was trying to avoid seeing was certain addictions in my life. And one of these addictions was my addiction to certain foods, sugar, and dairy milk, milk products, and certain foods that are happy foods, often junk foods, but also things that I considered happy foods, because things that I like that were not necessarily good for me for my health, but that they were bringing me joy and compensating for these last 14 years of being completely alone or isolated romantically, and just needing something to compensate on an everyday basis, not to, to have some sort of joy in my life. Because for the last, 2 or 3 years, I've been either in lockdown by myself, alone in this one room studio, or, in situations where I was not being able to work outside home, or, um, not having friends anymore, or, I mean, physical friends. I had a lot of online friends, but, so that was really rough. And I realized that a lot of my food addictions were really, really hard to get over with. And my body gave me signs that this was really affecting my health. For example, after many, many, many years of having intense migraines and headaches, I realized that sugar was the reason why I was getting these migraines. And when I stopped it completely, I stopped having the migraines. And that made me realize that I really had now to completely stop eating any kind of sugar, except, of course, the natural sugar of fruits or things like that. And that was a big deal for me, because I was a sweet tooth, and it was really compensating, like I said, for things lacking in my life. The other thing I realized is that milk products were really affecting my bronchial health. Like all that coughing I've been doing was also related to my intolerance to dairy products. But I didn't want to see that, because I was loving cheese too much, and it was giving me this joy thing. And during this whole coughing period, I realized that stopping meal products was really going to help me a lot. So I had to stop all of these things and go back to pretty much a vegetable and fruit diet with some proteins, a lot of legumes and peanut butter and nuts. Also take a lot of supplements to make sure that, I don't lack anything. And I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat meat. But this was a grieving process for me to get sort of let go of these addictions to these foods. So that was one grieving I had to go through. Another grieving I had to go through is realizing that I was compensating a lot of my loneliness through the social media, overacting, being overactive in social media. And it prevented me from actually going within. And as much as I kept telling everyone, oh, we have to go within, we have to go within, I was not listening to my own talk. I was not walking my own talk. And this is why I had to stop everything and do a lot of, going within and being in my heart and being in the heart coherence breathing, in order to realize that stopping social media for a while, or at least now finding some sort of balance, which is now what I'm trying to do now that I've taken back social media. I'm sorry, is to just find a right balance where I have maybe 1-2 hours maximum on the computer, and the rest of the time has to be, walking outside or creating my cards or things like that, but not spend 10, 12, 14 hours on computer um, trying to answer people's needs or answer their messages or be kind to them, which is very good. It's very nice to be nice to people, but at some point I need to find a balance and take care of my own needs and take care of my own health. So that was another grieving process I had to go through, is to actually accept to just eat not in front of the computer or film or video YouTube again, or just eat in front of my candle. And even if it's by myself, but just accept the moment, being present in mindfulness, and accept the food and love the food that I'm eating in presence. So another grieving process has to take place there. So that was a lot of grieving processes to take place. And I was like, Whoa, that was rough. I had to do some adjustments. So, but something really good came out of all this is that by going within more and being less into these addictions, I was able to go more within to listen to my heart, to my soul. And I found that I reconnected again more to my intuition, to my transmissions that I receive from my higher self, from my inner guidance, Mela Collective, and also from source and everything. And that was very good because I was also able to go back to my shamanic vision quest, which is something I do by laying down and listening to shamanic drumming in my earphones, and then I or formulate a request, a question I have. Then after that, I go in a state of um, alpha or meditative state where I can actually um, receive some information. And I was able, again, like I used to about a year ago, receive new informations about my galactic life, about my galactic family, about the reasons why I was hurting, and have some info about some past lives that I've had that were traumatic and that I had to heal. So that was a very important step I had of healing certain lifetimes that had a big impact on my health. So that's pretty much what sort of occupied my few last 2 weeks. And I just wanted to keep you updated on, what happened and why I was kind of silent, not only on social media, but also on YouTube, which is also kind of social media. But just give you some news and tell you that, things are getting better, but I am diminishing my level of intensity on different things. And I realized now that, as I knew already, that there is a sacred masculine part in me, integrated in me, the same way there's a feminine sacred part in me. And those have been able to really be joined and um, reunited in a way that makes the longing for a partner much less, and because one has to understand, just to put things in context, and I'm not going to put too much information or my personal information, but I've had also trouble being in a romantic relationship for the last 14 years because um, I have a partner in another. Well, for those who follow me, follow Elena and follow this whole disclosure about galactic contacts, you will know what I'm talking about. But I have a partner with a galactic family upstairs in another place. And as a start seed, I came here to do a certain job, which is to help the vibration, help raise the vibration on Terra, and do that through my art and my creativity and through the best I can do in a benevolent way with people. But there is someone up there that's taking care of me, or that's guiding me and helping me in these challenges I live in here. And this person is very special to me, and I've received a lot of confirmations about who he is, and in the GFW. And that's it. I'm going to leave it to that because I'm not necessarily ready to share about details about either him or my galactic family, because I think there's a lot of tough things happening right now in the disclosure community regarding people being trolled and harassed and attacked. And I'm not ready to um, receive those kinds of attacks. So I'm leaving that for later when things will be calmer. But I just want to say, just to put you in context of why the solitude, why the 14 years of disengagement relationship wise, because I have someone and I'm not available emotionally. And so yeah. So I had to do some healing in order to be able to complete within myself the feminine and masculine part within me, in order to be complete and to be connected through the heart to that energy, to that person up there, with whom I can connect very much if I stay grounded in my heart. And then we can have a form of quantum resonance and be linked together. And then this experience on Terra, on this planet, is easier to deal with when you're not feeling that you're completely alone and isolated. Okay, so this video is going in every places. It's kind of scattered in terms of themes and topics, but I just wanted to keep you updated on what's happening and the reasons for my silence, and also perhaps what I've just shared, not only regarding, detox, addictions, going within to find the answers, connecting to our galactic family or beloveds, or just dealing with life on Terra and relationship wise and things like that. I hope this offered you a chance to see that you're not alone going through these challenges, or maybe offer you a different visions of things, and hopefully you have an open mind to receive what I've shared with you and not be completely freaked out about all these things I talk about, which may seem a little bit out there, I know, for people who are not into the disclosure community, or and will judge this as just being either crazy stuff or whatever. So hopefully you kept an open mind, and I will leave you there because it's a long video. I will speak to you soon in the upcoming weeks, and take great care of yourself. I send you lots of love and high vibrations. Take great care of yourself, and we speak soon. Bye. All my gratitude for helping this channel bring positive vibes to more people.